G'day everyone, Ben here, 30 Foot Drop. Here to bring you another Quad's Eye view. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do something that's about a month late. Sorry about this, but 2020 in review. So I want to have a look back over the year that was and I don't know, just update people on what we've done and then look at the year ahead and go from there. So here we go. So 2020 was an interesting year in a lot of ways for obvious pandemic reasons. It's been a year of a lot of uncertainty. It's been a year of people just not being sure what happens next. And 30 Foot Drop, it was no different. Look, we were very fortunate. We received a grant late in 2019 to actually digitize a lot of our workshop offerings, which was brilliant. So before the pandemic hit, we were actually in the middle of converting a lot of our products into a digital format. So that worked out really, really well. And to be honest, I was actually really proud of how well the staff actually adapted to the situation, doing it online, learning new skills, and actually keeping this going. So that was absolutely amazing. We also, because we're in WA, have had WA, Western Australia, for those who aren't Australians. We have gotten off quite lightly in comparison to so many other places in the world when it comes to COVID-19. In a lot of ways, we've been very, very fortunate with that. So we actually managed to get out and do a few business after hours workshops for different shires. And the probably best one, or not best, but the one that was most exciting to me was we did a series of business after hours workshops for the Shire of Augusta Margaret River. And it was brilliant. What people are doing down there and how they're trying to become more accessible to be able to actually make all of this work is amazing. Yes, there are hiccups. They're not. Everybody is still learning. There's still some mistakes being made, but it's brilliant. But one of the main outcomes of that was that the Margaret River Busselton Tourism Association, we're now working actually quite closely with them, which is amazing. So, we've started working on a program around accessible tourism, which we're seeking funding for from the government at the moment. All right, silver linings of the pandemic from a Quad's point of view. Okay, the pandemic has been absolutely horrible, but there has definitely been some things in there that I really hope society continues to implement. Okay, we've had to learn so many things so fast, and it would be a shame to take a step back. Okay, so some of the examples of the things that I absolutely love and I think they've done a great job of doing is, so many more companies and people are actually willing to use digital format when it comes to having meetings. So Zoom or webinars or, all of these, which for me is absolutely amazing. I live 2 to 3 hours, depending on traffic, away from, the CBD of Western Australia, Perth there. And before the pandemic, I would have to go up to Perth quite regularly to meet with clients and stuff, which, don't get me wrong, I was fine with doing, but doing it digitally like we are now makes life so much more efficient, makes it so much easier to be able to do these meetings in this format has been absolutely amazing. So I really hope that continues. Another thing is businesses actually willing to let people work from home. That flexibility, that understanding is absolutely amazing. And the arguments that people had before about productivity or about community are being shown as those worries aren't quite as bad as they'd originally thought. So I really hope that sort of flexibility continues. It really allows so many people with disability who have issues that vary from day to day. Giving them the flexibility to be able to work from home on days that are bad is amazing. A couple more amusing silver linings. The first one is social distancing. As a wheelchair user, I actually really like social distancing because everybody is worried about being away from each other and keeping this distance and being more aware of who's around them and that. I've actually found that I get tripped over a lot less than I used to. Okay, because everybody is aware of what's around them. I also have less people coming up randomly behind me and pushing me thinking that they're helping, which 99 times out of 100, unfortunately, they're not. So having that social distancing from my point of view is actually pretty good. And the other one is so waiting rooms, right? As a wheelchair user, I hate waiting rooms because they normally try and cram as many chairs and tables and stuff like that in there as they can. And that means that there is so little room for anybody who uses a mobility device or a parent with a pram. It makes it really, really hard. So suddenly, social distancing COVID meant that they're having to spread the chairs out to maintain social distancing, which suddenly means that there is wheelchair parking available in reception areas and waiting rooms, which is amazing. I no longer have to sit right in the middle of the freaking room in everybody's way, light and stick out like a sore thumb. Suddenly I can park up. So I actually hope that, this becomes an ongoing thing. It'll be amazing. On to a more serious note, lessons learned in 2020. The importance of mental health. Now, it's not saying that I never regarded mental health as important. If anybody, or for anybody who's been following or has heard my story, will attest, I am a massive believer that mental health is as important as physical health. It is something to be taken seriously, and when you don't, that's when things go really, really bad. But for myself, I came to realise how much of my self-identity and how much of my mental health is reliant upon the work that I do. I take a lot of my self-worth, that's the better word, self-worth from what I do. So suddenly when lockdown was happening and work was getting cancelled left, right and centre and I didn't have much to do, my mental health really suffered. And that was really quite hard. So this time, we're in day 2 of lockdown right now. Here in Western Australia, it's just come back in. We're waiting with bated breath to see how this lockdown in particular goes. And so this time I have a lot more strategies in place to help manage my mental health. The other lesson I personally learnt is the importance of care. My wife and I, we are both very independent people. She works full time, I work full time. Our care and the assistance that we have that comes in to help me get up in the mornings and help out around the house, help me with things that I can't do myself. They're absolutely essential to what we do. In a lockdown situation like we have at the moment, we have to cancel care, which leaves my wife doing all of it, which can be really hard, especially when you consider that, suddenly we've got a 7-year-old kid here at home as well, along with her work, which she's being allowed to do from home. It becomes very hard. So it's the importance of mental health strategies to look after both myself and those around me. It's been a massive lesson learned. I'd be really interested to know what everybody else's lessons learned have been from last year. Let them know what it is they took out of the year. Unfortunately, we all have very little control over what's happening in the world. But at the same time, we can all choose to learn lessons from it and take stuff out of it. So I'd be very interested to know what you guys have found.